Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring the book Advice to Students, authored by Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently studying the story of Kalidas, the transformation of the great poet of India, Kalidas. And yesterday we were studying about how many young scholars came to try to win the hand of the king's daughter, who was extremely intelligent and a scholarly person, but she defeated them all in philosophical discussions. Some suitors who felt particularly humiliated and upset by this defeat decided to teach her a lesson. So they put their heads together and plotted to find an extremely stupid person and trick the princess into marrying him. During their search, they found a good looking young man who was sitting on a branch of a tree, busily cutting the same branch upon which he was seated. They realized here was the stupidest person they could hope to find. So they beckoned him to come down and asked him if he would like to marry the princess. He loved the idea but asked how it could be possible and how could that happen. They told him that all that he would have to do was to keep quiet and not speak a single word. However, he could make all the gestures he wanted with his hands. So these people brought the dull wit into the palace and presented him in the royal court as the greatest philosopher and sage of the time. They said that he was so advanced that he didn't even have to use words. In silence, just by gestures, he could convey the highest philosophy. They challenged the princess to debate with him in the same language of silent gestures or accept defeat. The princess accepted the challenge and they both sat down, ready to begin the unusual debate. The princess raised one finger, implying, "Can you refute that there is only one God, one absolute?" The dull wit, seeing that raised finger, thought that the princess was going to poke his eye. So he thought, "Let me poke both of hers," and he raised two fingers. The scheming scholars interpreted this for the princess, saying, "O princess, our scholar friend is more advanced than you are. Although Brahman is one, one alone cannot create and sustain this world. Brahman must have Maya or cosmic illusion to do so." Hearing this, the princess accepted defeat on this point and went on to the other. She then raised her hand, showing five fingers, implying that the world is made up of the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, or the five tattvas. Seeing her hand raised, this dull witted thought that she was going to slap him. He said to himself, "If she tries to slap me, I'm going to punch her." So he made a fist. The philosopher interpreted this saying, "The princess asserts that five elements make the world, but if the five elements are apart like her fingers, how can those elements go to form the world? This sage is advanced. With his fist, he shows that the five elements must all be united and come together." The princess again had to accept defeat. In this way, those scholars succeeded in getting the young man married to the princess. It was not difficult, however, for the princess to find out that he was indeed a dull wit. The moment she realized this, she told him to get out and not to come back until he was deserving to be married to her. In other words, not until he became the scholar that all his friends had made him out to be. So, that young man left her with a sense of tremendous sorrow. Deeply hurt, he thought, "I, who am such a dull wit, how can I be the scholar that the princess is expecting me to be? It is impossible." Thus thinking, he sat down by a well with the idea of jumping into it to commit suicide. But as he sat looking into the well, he noticed that the walls had deeply entrenched grooves made by the rope as it rubbed against the concrete wall every time people drew water. So he thought to himself, if by persistent rubbing even concrete gives way and changes, what will happen to my mind if I persist? I do want to be a scholar, well cultured and intelligent. So why can't I too change? With that resolve, he began to meditate, and he became a devotee of goddess Kali, and with sustained perseverance began studying under a great scholar. So now his focus became intense. Eventually, he became Kalidas, one of the greatest poets, writers, dramatists, and literary scholars of the Sanskrit language. That firmness of resolve is what we refer to as dhriti. If you set your mind to something and refuse to be discouraged, you are bound to succeed. The eternal self or spirit within you is inexhaustible in its energy and resources. Nothing is impossible for you. Books of ordinary psychology may tell you that your mind can advance only to a certain extent. But that is not so. There is no limit to your capacity. If you know the subtle mystic art, you can bring out amazing talents and powers from within. With Dhriti, you develop a strong, mettled personality and strive to accomplish your goals regardless of the obstacles along the way. And no matter what the odds against your success, if things do not turn out the way you expect, you don't relent, but patiently continue to put forth your best effort. With persistence, eventually you will succeed. There is another special type of firmness or dhriti that helps you translate theoretical knowledge into practical knowledge. If you lack this type of dhriti, you hear wonderful things through one ear, but they pass right through the other one. So let's study the parable of the three skulls. Once a man brought three skulls before a great king and posed a riddle. Which of the three was the wisest when alive? All the great scholars, philosophers, and other intelligent people in the court looked at the skulls and said that they could not say which one was the wisest just by seeing the skull. However, one philosopher took the skulls and tried a demonstration with three straws. He poked the first straw into the ear of the first skull and let it pass out through the other ear. At this, the philosopher said, this one was the dullest. Whatever he listened to in one ear passed right through the other one. Then he poked the second straw into the ear of the second skull and he let it pass through the mouth. He said, this one was of medium class wisdom. He heard so many things, but he just went on talking about what he learned without assimilating any of it. Then he poked the third straw into the third skull and let it pass through the ear down towards the stomach. This man was the wisest, said the philosopher. He digested and assimilated all that he learned. The story shows that if you have developed dhriti, you possess the type of mind that listens, retains, and assimilates. Dhriti should be a sattvic nature or pure. You should be able to retain that which is sublime, not that which is rajasic or impure, or tamasic, which is dull. If you have dhriti, then whatever you learn will become effective in your life. If you lack dhriti, you simply learn things theoretically, but that theoretical knowledge is never put into practice. So that's where the real growth comes in, when we practice what we learn. Second quality is kshama or forgiveness. Kshama means forgiveness or forbearance. Even when you are placed in a provocative situation, continue to maintain a mind that is serene without developing ill will towards those who provoke you. For example, when a doctor approaches a patient, that patient, due to mental imbalance, may say many harsh things to the doctor. The doctor doesn't care. The doctor knows that because his patient is ill, he will shout, cry, and be impatient, etc. These are the expressions of his disease. So, therefore, no matter how badly the patient may behave, the doctor continues to try to help him. That same mature attitude must characterize all your dealings and with other people and in your own dealing with yourself as well. Just know what you need to do and what is right for you. And when that becomes a habit, then it becomes spontaneous and natural. No matter what happens, there must be constant forbearance. So, forgiveness is a very important trait, and forgiveness should not just be forgiving others but also seeking forgiveness, because we also do wrong things to others. So, with this, we conclude our satsang for today, and we will continue with another parable of the drowning scorpion and the saint in tomorrow's satsanga. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.